we were starting over, okay, as a new entity, this institution, Hartford International now. And they hired me, and I was the only female, the only Catholic, the only nun. And I played the guitar, for God's sake, and I'm coming into a highly esteemed academic institution with deep roots, I mean, this is really something. And so I was the only female then on the core faculty.
Welcome to Dovetail, the Hartford International University podcast where healing, inspiration, and understanding guide every conversation. I'm Steve Havira, Chief Creative Officer at HIU and your host. On Dovetail, we amplify voices from across the HIU community and beyond, including students, educators, thought leaders, and innovators who are shaping a better world. Each episode dives into compelling stories and bold ideas about peace building, social change, and bridging divides. Whether you're here to gain insight, spark inspiration, or connect with fresh perspectives, you're in the right place. Thank you for joining us. Enjoy this episode of Dovetail, brought to you by Hartford International University. Welcome, MT.
Thank you. I'm delighted to be here with you.
We're delighted that you're here. You're here for a special occasion. We'll get into that. But I want to go to the very beginning of your journey. And that begins with the Medical Mission Sisters.
Well, actually, it begins earlier than that.
Probably, right?
Well, I was born to my mom, of course, but we lived in above my grandfather's saloon, let's put it that way, in New Jersey, down in the seedy side of town. He made out very well because he had a saloon and all the workers from the iron yard and all kinds of stuff, and after work would come and they'd have, a place to be in the evening, and so it was a real good setup for him. And it was a good context for me because I was there with my mom. She had two boys ahead of time, ahead of me. And when I was born and the nurse brought me in and the woman said, "It's a girl." My mom said, "Oh, thanks be to God, it's a girl." And she said, it was Flag Day, and it said Old Glory was flying. She says, "I'm going to name her Gloria."
Wow.
So that's how I got the name Gloria Winter. And I grew up over that saloon and along the seediest side of town you can imagine. There was the junkyard across the street from me, the big workers that would come into the big woolen mills, the other kinds of mills, everything around. It was just like a junkyard. Oh, and even called it so-and-so. So it was junkyard across the street, and then stuff was dumped. And that was home. And my grandma and my grandfather, they owned this little house next door. There's this apartment building where we had our apartment, and right over the saloon. So in the night times, weekends, you could hear the drinking and the singing and all. And my mom would bang on the radiator, trying to say, "There's babies up here trying to sleep." And then also on Sunday, my grandma would sneak up 2 bottles of soda for us, and my grandfather would be so upset, but she would sneak them up, because so we would have some kind of treat because we were all so poor.
Yeah.
We were poor, and so that's where my context was, and having that, it was just like lovely because I was living in an imaginary world simultaneously with my real world.
So what age did you go into the Medical Mission Sisters?
Oh, my glory. I showed up at the age of 15, going on 16.
Wow. And what prompted that?
Well, I wish I knew. I kind of wish I knew because, I don't know, there was just some sense of more beyond, something beyond where I was.
Bigger world out there.
Right.
See.
But I remember when I was making my first communion, had just made my first communion, and the sisters, they had some prayer service going on, and it was Lent, way back when I was very small, and they were saying they're collecting money for the poor babies, the black babies, and they call them the poor black babies in Africa. And if you give a nickel, that child will be saved, will be baptized and will go to heaven or something. And I came home, and as I said, we were so sad. Mommy, I said, I want to save one of the black babies in Africa. Do we have money? And she said, I don't have 10 cents. I don't have 5 cents. But she gave me, I think it was a penny. I'm not remembering enough. It was them. It was the smallest coin. So I went to the sister and I said, I don't have the money, but I want to free one of those babies. And she said, that will just be enough. You can do it. And so my heart was somehow reaching out always so far beyond in Africa, which I didn't even know where it was, these poor black babies that they needed to be bought to be saved, rightly or wrongly, theologically or spiritually. There's a touch of goodness in it and a touch of some sense of that stayed with me. And I was always, I'm an introvert and an extrovert right on the line. It's zero, extrovert, introvert. So I flip back and forth. And I just loved thinking about things. And from the littlest, youngest age, I would be writing little poems. So I wrote poems that eventually ended up being songs.
World famous songs, by the way.
Well, it's crazy, isn't it? But it's the way I think, and as I was moving and trying to simplify and get rid of a lot of stuff, because if they bury me in our graveyard, which they will when we die, I don't think the hole is going to be big enough to hold all of the boxes of poems and stuff I wrote. So I'm saying, get rid of some of this stuff. But going through, flipping through, I said, oh my gosh, from the youngest age, I started writing a poem. I think I was 4 or 5 or something. And then in first grade, when I was sitting, they were teaching us how to do this. And the teacher, they said, just write something about, and I wrote a little small poem, and she was blown away. From then on, I could do whatever I wanted in terms of more. I said, I want to know more about poetry. I want to know more about, and so I ended up eventually like skipping a grade, and then, which made me come closer to graduation when I was young. And I don't know how, I just wanted to, maybe that idea of babies in Africa or babies pulled me toward a community. I didn't want to be a teaching nun. I didn't want to be local. I didn't want to. And found out about the Medical Mission Sisters. And when I went and I met the founder who was there, she said, well, you're too young, you have to go back.
15 years old.
Yeah. So at least finish high school, which I finished 1 year short. I skipped it because I had a good mind and I knew what I was doing. And so they let me in. But just as I was turning 17, I had to wait. She said, you have to wait till you're 17, not 16, which even 17 was too young. But she said, come. And so from the beginning, I became soul friends somehow with the founder of our community, because knowing, if you read her story, whose book I have written, we became close. Somehow she saw in me something of herself, because what she did is gave her whole life to provide professional medical care for Muslim women or women who are not Catholic around the world and developing nations. And I was kind of drawn to that same kind of thing, to be there for the rest of the world, to meet a need that they needed, these women, and that we could do something about it. So that's the context of my kind of life journey.
Sure.
I never looked back. I never regretted a minute. I have always, no matter what the context, no matter what the things I've been in, and they've been incredible.
Sure. Well, your ministry has been expansive. You traveled the globe. You've interacted with just about every kind of nation and background. Music has been a significant part of your ministry, maybe the biggest part of your ministry.
Well, it seems because I was there as a pioneer, I was one of the first, there's Joys Like the Rain when it came out, and it came out not through like a church group or a local small theater. It came out from New York City,
Right.
and then
What was the record company?
um,
Was it RCA Records?
at the beginning there was one that had gone out of existence eventually, so it moved on into some, but it
Sure.
was a founding
Right.
company.
Got it.
And also and Carnegie Hall. The Carnegie Hall was the turning point.
Wow.
That this mass that I wrote, I wrote a mass in English, and English was just coming in, everything Latin. So, I did this mass, and they wanted to feature it at Carnegie Hall, which they did, and it was the opening thing. And what's memorable about it, particularly, there's Lord have mercy, very somber, and it was so sellouts. The whole place was jammed. First, Christian presentation program in the history of the hall. So this was like pioneering for Carnegie Hall.
Of course.
And so here I am in a full habit, and 7 of our sisters, and I wanted it to be SATB because, I needed men. So I wanted 7 of the priests, this group of priests who also are a community. Their name will come to me. By the way, names and labels disappear when you're 86
When you get a little bit
going on.
You look fantastic for 86.
Well, you lie like a rug.
Well,
Thank you so much.
no, but you're very sharp. You're very spirited.
But what happens is, and I learned this because I did mind mapping for years. I studied that at the beginning.
Yeah.
And what I learned from that, which gives me hope, is what you can't remember. You have these file drawers in your brain, and there's labels. And it's the labels. You can't get past the labels. If you get past the label and you get to these, you can get the content.
It's
but
a
you
web
can't
of content.
You can't find it in your brain
Sure.
when you want it, or fast enough, or at the appropriate time. So,
Sure.
but anyway, tell me what. Oh, Carnegie, you've got to know this. It comes to this, Lord have mercy, very somber, and then we go into glory to God, and they hit the drums, glory to God, and then you who sit at the right hand of the Father, and it was going higher and higher, have mercy on, and exploded in parts and everything. At the end, amen, 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 dead silence, and then the place went berserk.
Erupted.
They all erupted, cheering, and flowers were coming down the aisle. And my mom and dad were up in a box seat up there.
Looking you
and
on.
I said, they let me do this.
Yes.
They let me leave home at that age. They let me follow my dream, even though it was something I couldn't even explain because I didn't understand. So what a beautiful moment. It's etched in my soul forever.
Wow.
And then on the marquee, the name is, Miriam Treese Winter, and all of this kind of stuff. It's not about me. I could care less about that stuff. It's just not me. But for my mom and my dad.
To see you.
They,
At what age? I'm guessing early 20s.
my age?
Yeah, no, that back then in Carnegie Hall.
Oh my gosh, it was just barely. I think I was 20.
About 20.
I had turned 20.
So 3 years into
Yeah,
the
3
Medical
years,
Mission
yeah.
Sisters. Wow.
Yeah.
And then you're at Carnegie Hall.
There you go. I mean, it's crazy. You can't make that stuff up.
Sure.
That's what I always say. You can't make this stuff up.
But you're in alignment with what you're supposed to be doing. I think that's how it
Spirit
happens.
leads, and if you open yourself, and I say that at the core of my teaching, open your heart to the Spirit, which is the energy of the universe, all energy, all peoples, all realities. Open it and ask to be led in the direction you should be, and to be doing what you need to be doing at the moment for now. Doesn't mean it's fitly, but for the moment, what you're led, what you feel inclined to do and be and become, follow that, and and open yourself to the energies of the universe, which are spirit-driven energies. And more than ever, we need to do this because the world is turning into something none of us could ever have imagined.
Sure. Well, that outlook has certainly been a core of your teaching.
Yeah.
It was a core of your teaching here with the Women's Leadership Institute. Certainly the books you've read, the talks you've given, even the work musically that you've done. So you're unique in that you are bridging traditional theology with this contemporary approach of spirit. How do you balance that innovation among people who maybe don't think the way that you do?
Now, that's an interesting question because I listen to people
Mm-hmm.
and then I connect to where they're at. So I'm not pulling anybody in any direction toward anything. But I usually kind of either toss out a thought or a question or a challenge or some particular piece that we've been reading and have people get at it, get into it, but not just with you start and then you say, well, what's the next thing? If you say this, well, how would you carry that out? And why would you carry it out? And where would you do that? And what are your hope for outcomes,
Mm-hmm.
and why would you want to? So that you expand everything, that we get deeper into and more informed about whatever we're doing, because there's too much slapstick stuff going on of anything and everything,
Right.
just for the moment, just because it's popular. We need some more depth things, as we've discovered.
Right.
Just when we thought we're on the right path, something happens and we're blown to bits
Sure.
and have to start over.
Do you think faith itself as a concept is a personal experience that shouldn't be shaped by any kind of doctrine historically?
Well, we learn from everyone, let's put it that way. So we're shaped by our experiences. So, and by whatever we do, whatever we think, but we need to be broader. We're all we've been on narrow paths, and those paths have intersected, and we kept saying, okay, yeah, this person is this, and I'm this and that. And we have friendships and relationships and all of that. But there's something deeper than that, the sense of shared humanity. We've got to get back to something at the lowest level,
Sure.
most primary level.
Well, so how do you see the role of spirituality in promoting peace then?
Spirituality is
In a deeply divided world, as you're
right.
alluding to.
I don't know if I like using the word spirituality.
Mm.
Okay. When I teach, I first start out by parsing that and saying there are two words in there, in the word spirituality: spirit and ritual. Okay. And then you have the little bit E left over, but that you can toss that or save it for later.
Right, sure.
Dessert. So that spirit, see, if you do spiritual, then you're in trouble because you've already narrowed it down to something. It's come through some lens, some human lens of thought, tradition, whatever. But if you say spirit, then you're open to that energies of the spirit now, and then of course, looking back and building on that from what has gone before, and what you hope to have in the future. But we have to get away from these patterns we set up, almost like file drawers. If you're in this file drawer, this is your call. This is what group you belong to. You cannot belong to this group. We got to dig deeper, 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 deeper to our common humanity, and then say, okay, if that's the starting point, what is something that will pull us all together?
Right.
And so spirit can pull us together. Spirituality never can.
Right. And spirit's not defined as just one thing.
That's exactly right.
Right. So let's go to your history here at HIU. You started the Women's Leadership Institute in what year? 1983?
Good question. It's finished its 24th year. You do the math.
I can't. Well, I have an art degree. I can't do that. So.
Well, then neither can I.
I'm in the art and communications world. I don't do math.
I came female. I was the first. We were starting over. Okay, as a new entity. This institution, Hartford International now, and they hired me, and I was the only female, the only Catholic, the only nun. And I played the guitar, for God's sake, and I'm coming into a highly esteemed academic institution with deep roots, I mean, this is really something. And so I was the only female then on the core faculty, and they had the Black Ministries program, had this Tom Hoyt, and we became soul friends. Let me tell you, those faculty meetings, both of us would sit there, our eyes would cross practically. We understood none of it, none of what they were talking
Very
about.
academic.
Yes, very. And we go into his office, close the door, and go. I would scream, and he says, "You first." I said, "You first. You first. You first." We would say we were like we were in La La Land.
Sure.
I said, "Well, how have I landed here? What are we going to do?"
Right.
So he had started the Black Ministries program. And I said, I will teach in the Black Ministries program, spirituality. I was going to show them how they teach us. And I'll never forget my very first class. We had big, 78 people or something. And they came in, and I stood up there. I said, okay, first thing, lock that door. Nobody leaves until this evening's over. But when you leave, you do not have to come back. I said, but while we're here, nobody's leaving until I finish. And I said, I know you're saying, what is that white woman standing in front of us teaching in the Black Ministries program? I said, I'm saying the same thing to myself. So erase the color part. We ended up, I cannot give you all the details, but people were, thank her, Jesus, help her, Jesus. And I'm saying, and falling out and picking them up and all this kind of stuff. And I said, this was the most wonderful class I've ever been in. Please come back. They came back with more. And so that began a deep relationship between the African American culture and also Hispanic cultures.
Sure.
And this Catholic nun who, because my place in the world is Africa and all these countries. I love the other places. And so it's second nature to me to think other rather than congenital.
So how many countries did you travel in your younger years?
Oh my gosh,
the sisters?
throughout Africa and Asia, Latin America.
And you were away the majority of your life doing that?
Well, I would take like a chunk of time, maybe 6 weeks or 5 weeks or something.
So talk to me about Joys Like the Rain. Describe it for listeners who don't know the song, because it does predate some listeners.
It's such a simple song. Even I said to myself, now, how could that have gone anywhere and been anything?
How long did it take to write?
Oh, I cried it into existence in about half an hour. But the point was that I entered this community. So I would go to Africa, and I would be in Africa. I'd be a doctor, or whatever. That's what was my aim, or something in Africa. And it turned out that they assigned me to teach the novices. Now, that's like putting a knife in your heart, I was so upset. I was sobbing. And they said, send her down to our place on the shore. Let her take a week off and get. And so I went down to one of our places, Medford actually it was, and a town. And I was there, and it was raining, and I was crying, screaming at the window, saying, how could you do this to me? How could you do this, Jesus? I entered to do screaming at Jesus. And I don't know, this tune came. I saw raindrops on my window. 4 lines, 4 verses. The simplest song, I look back, should be go nowhere. That is the song that identifies everything.
International acclaim, international fame.
It's unbelievable, because it was the first in Catholicism.
Right.
But I didn't have to worry about being thrown out of anywhere, because I was in my community, protected.
Sure.
And so I didn't belong to any entity that they could stop me,
Sure.
And this came out of Carnegie Hall and the major publishers.
Right.
And so you cannot make this stuff up.
Now, do you see any royalties from that song? Or?
Oh, yeah, we did, certainly.
And that goes back to the medical missions.
Absolutely. And so that went to the missions. And so I felt even better.
Wow.
Yeah, everything goes out. We live, each of us, penniless, which is wonderful. In fact, I had to borrow something to get a cup of soda or something from the machine. You have a quarter.
Wow. Well, music has shaped you. It's been a window to the world for you, I think.
Yeah.
Being creative, poems, music, and it's been the way that you look at the world through your own lens.
But let me add this. It was that way since I was 3, 4 years old. I was always looking up somewhere, somehow, and felt some I can't intellectualize it. I don't intend to, but I just knew there was something somewhere, someone, somehow, whatever, and that has shaped me. And that energy that became porous in my whole being, through my bloodstream, through my heartbeat, it never changed. The dynamics shift, the places you do, how you evolve. But deep down, I knew there was something more that I could not comprehend and didn't need to, but it's bigger than I. And I think our problem today is when we talk about the sacred, you always fall into the word religion, and religion is a filter, and then the filter just makes it more something that the humans can comprehend. If you can comprehend, it's not it.
Mm-hmm.
We can't understand this. It's beyond comprehension. But there is a deep sense somehow within our psyche, within our bodies, within our humanity, that there's something beyond. We don't know what it is, but there's an energy beyond.
What do you think it is?
I don't know. I cannot put a word to it. I
No?
don't know. I have no idea.
Are you curious about it?
No.
No.
I'm not.
Do you have faith that it just exists? And
The point is, even if it doesn't, you live, who knows? We're saying there is, but maybe there isn't, that's part of our faith tradition. But when you go back, and I've studied all the major scientists and all of the Jesus scholars and everything through the years, and in the end, it's all about, we are human beings here.
presence, being present in the moment,
In the moment.
experience,
Exactly.
relationships.
Exactly. And we are multifaceted individually, multifaceted racially, multifaceted in every which way. And we have this precious little planet that has been given to us, and to us to be on this planet. And to me, right now, we are at such critical crossroads that not only I'm saying we're looking, will I exist how long, because I'm at the end of my, tenure here on this planet. But will this planet continue to exist with what we're doing? Or even should it, if this is the way we're going to be on it, And so for me, I want to continue to pour out on this universe, on this planet, on the places I am, in the situations I am, sitting right here with you, opposite a microphone, saying, all we can do is all we can do. All we can be is all we can be. And that is enough. Hand ourselves over to the sacred. Say, take of me whatever is good and can be used. And forgive me for those times that I really just overstep my boundaries, don't do enough or do too much or whatever. And bless those, send the energies of blessings to those who really need it,
Well, you contributed so much to theology and music and social justice. When you think about it, what do you want your legacy to be?
I don't think of legacies. I just don't. People ask me that. I think of the present moment.
Right. It goes back to the
That's it.
present moment.
That's it.
Sure.
I don't think that way. I've got thinking. Actually, I'm thinking is what I want to do and be next. But you can understand that, I think, because you're exactly the same.
You have a very creative mind.
It's just the next
The next
the
thing.
next thing. Yeah,
The next thing. That's a really nice perspective, I think.
I think so too.
In terms of the messaging here, what would you like to leave our listeners who are seeking to make a difference in the world?
It's a phrase that, is core to my own community. It's what we've given our lives to. And it's what our founder gave her life to, and what I'm giving my life to. It's to be a healing presence at the heart of a wounded world. If we can ourselves be a healing presence, that energy, it's not just what you do or and it's who you are, how you receive others, the energy. If even you could wake up every day and just say, I want to be a healing presence. I want to do one act of loving kindness today, just one act or one prayer. All of that will be enough energy, I think, to turn our world around into the right, trajectory, so that we can actually have something of merit to hand over to those who follow after.
The next generation.
Yeah.
What's your favorite song?
Oh, I don't think that way.
You don't think that way?
No,
Out of all of your
No, I can't. It's the one of the moment that I'm singing. Or one something. I can't, because I don't even know how many, hundreds and hundreds. And I found the box. I can't believe it. It shocked me. I was always writing poetry from a little girl, and I've never stopped. I found a big carton full of poetry books that I said, oh my glory be to God, there's hundreds of them here. So I don't know. I'm always going forward.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not looking back. Got all kinds of things I still want to do and be, songs to sing, people to be with, to encourage, to say, don't give up. Don't give up. It's when the things seem the darkest that the bright light of faith and grace and goodness will shine the brightest. It's when the night is darkest that you can see the stars the clearest, and they shine. And it's a promise that there's more out there than meets the eye. And hang in there. Don't hang up. Hang on.
That's beautiful, MT. Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate you coming on Dovetail. Great to see you.
Thank you.
You're
always great to be with you.
You're inspiration, certainly to me and to many around here. You just keep on fighting. You keep on creating. Spirit that's very present and prevalent here at HIU, and you're just so connected to it.
And let me say this right back at you. I was here when you arrived, and you were just wide-eyed, glassy-eyed.
Right.
And we connected at a very deep level, and we will always be connected at that deep level. And you understand where I'm coming from, because a piece of you is there the same way. And we have lots to do and lots to be. And I'm right here with you and standing by. So call if you need anything.
Looking for a place where your future comes alive? At HIU, we're more than a campus. We're a community of thinkers, doers, and change makers. Whether you're dreaming of creating impact locally or globally, our unique programs and supportive faculty are here to help you get there. To find out more and apply online, visit hartfordinternational.edu/academic programs to begin your HIU journey today.
Hey there, listeners. Do you want to show off your love for Hartford International University and support our amazing community? Well, you're in luck. Visit shophartfordinternational.com for a fantastic selection of apparel that includes t-shirts, hoodies, hats, gifts, and accessories that showcase your HIU pride. And here's the best part, because you're tuning into Dovetail, we've got an exclusive deal just for you. Use the code Dovetail at checkout to get 10% off your purchase. That's right, save a little cash while showing your support for HIU. So whether you're looking for that perfect hoodie, a gift for a friend, or just want to represent the university in style, head on over to shophartfordinternational.com. Don't forget to use code Dovetail for that special 10% off discount, and send us photos of you wearing your HIU gear out in the world to be featured on our social media and publications. As always, thanks for supporting Dovetail and Hartford International University.
Looking for a space that ignites your curiosity and powers your journey of discovery? Welcome to the library at HIU, located on the first floor of the main building. Our library isn't just a quiet place to study, it's your gateway to endless resources, expert support, and collaborative spaces. Whether you're diving into research, seeking new ideas, or simply need a peaceful place to recharge, we've got you covered. Discover the heart of campus learning at HIU. Ask for me, Carla Grafton, the library director, or Marie, our library assistant, for advice on how to begin your journey. Visit us today or explore online at hartfordinternational.edu/library, and follow us on our Instagram, library.hiu, and on our Facebook page, facebook.com/library Hartford International. See you at the library.